So that's great for someone that is trying to generate new business. He wants people to come out and look at his portfolio. So that's a really good takeaway from this report.
So most importantly, what sites are sending traffic to my site? So on this report, what we're seeing is that you've got LinkedIn, you've got ISO 9 conference, you can barely see there. So all these people are excited to hear Bob speak at the ISO 9, and they're sending traffic. So anytime you have a visit, it's recorded, that refer is recorded in your reporting. So for example, let's say I've got my information on LinkedIn. Well, I've got 15 visits from there last month. I know maybe if I can go on there and maybe I want to advertise, things like that. So what it allows you to do is see where your traffic's coming from and what they're doing. So you can kind of optimize. You've even got your Facebook visits right here. And whether it's paid traffic or natural traffic, it'll all show up on here. So not only are the sites tracked, but what keywords are driving people to your site. So what's interesting about this report is that you get all your keywords, and it's under total. You can get paid and non-paid. So if you're paying for keywords on Google AdWords or some other reporting, you can see how they're performing. So what you want to see, let's say Bob paid for motion graphic specialist, and so that was his fourth. You cannot see this. Can you guys see this at all? No. It says motion graphic specialist.
Will this be on slideshow?
Sure, yeah. And so you can see motion graphic, or you can't see, motion graphic specialist. And then the pages per visit. It compares all the different pages, all the different keywords based on your pages per visit and other metrics like time on site. So motion graphic specialist, Bob paid for. It gives 1.47 pages per visit in 52 seconds. Well, that sucks compared to everything else. I mean, if your average time on site is 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and this is generating 52 seconds, do you really want to be paying for this word? And the answer is probably not. So Bob can go back and optimize his spend and say, hey, spend less on motion graphic specialist. Give me something like whatever. Well, that's our idea integration. We used our sample data. That gives me 5 pages per visit and 3 minutes per visit. So that's giving me a lot more bang for my buck. Additionally, what you can do, and I think we have a slide in here somewhere about goal tracking. So if my goals are to have someone apply for new business, apply for careers, whatever it is, you can set that up very easily in Google Analytics, and it will show how motion graphic specialists perform those goals. So you can get, and you can compare your referring sites, all your AdWords, all your natural traffic, and see what is performing best. And what we do is we use those words that are performing best, and we put them back into the content of the page, which will help optimize your SEO. We use them for page titles, for URLs, and we want to minimize the words like motion graphic specialist that really bring down your site. So are your visitors buying? So Bob decided to, visitors can purchase artwork. Bob wanted to have artwork on his site, so he sells artwork. You can go to bobgraphicdesign.com and buy artwork. And so you wanted to see what people are spending. If you've got an e-commerce site, it's really simple to get that to activate in Google Analytics. It's just you turn on one part of the code, and then it works very well with any kind of third-party shopping carts. Obviously, it works with the Google checkout and things like that. So you can get an idea of how your visitors are converting. 2.15% of visitors are converting, what your average order value is. And so what we do is we look at that. Is your average order value going down? Is there something wrong? Are people not? Do you have a new competitor in the market? These are kind of red flags. If you see things start going down, you see your conversion rate looks pretty steady across the board, but we see a big dip here. Is there something going on these dates? Is it like a Sunday that nobody's on your site? What this kind of gives you the information you need to investigate a little bit further. And it can show you, how each word is converting in each site and things like that as well. Other reports that are available that we like. There's a benchmarking report. So what Bob can do is he can go into Google Analytics and say, I have to sign up for the benchmarking service. It's free. And then he says, hey, I'm a small design shop. Here's my vertical, and he'll drill down to his vertical. And it'll show how he's performing in terms of all the key metrics, visits, bounce rate, time on site, versus his competitors. So he can see, you know what, my competitors are doing a much better job than me, like here, for example, on page views, overall page views. He's got a lot less page views than the average. So he can see kind of where his competitors are performing without actually getting their Google Analytics data. Yes, sir?
Can you
specifically. It's by vertical, so there's you know, like there's a ton of verticals on there. So you can get pretty detailed, but you can't just choose Bill's graphic shop. Yes, ma'am.
Aren't there some sites where you can do that though?
Yes. However, every time Quantcast is one, Alexa. What else do we use? Compete.com. So what they since we have data on a lot of sites, we actually compare Compete data to what we see. And what Compete does is when you use Comcast or one of those, it has something on the Comcast box. And it'll take a sample of the people in Houston who actually got that site. And they kind of extrapolate that data. Remember that part we were talking about earlier about I Love Lucy, taking a small sample and extrapolating? So for sites like Bob, who's going to get very low visitors, it's not very accurate. We found it was off by like 50% or more. I mean, it's like ballpark. But for sites like Yahoo or something like that, they get a lot of traffic. It may be a little bit more stable. They all have a big degree of error in every one. So I've used this very carefully. Sure. And then the other report that we really like too is the advanced segmentation. Okay, so you know what visitors are doing well by the ones that purchase. You can create a segment of purchasers and compare them to everybody else and find out the visitor behavior that the purchasers have that everybody else does not have. And you can use that information to say, okay, well, if all these purchasers came from my Yahoo AdWords account, maybe I need to be spending more in my Yahoo AdWords account and minimizing my Google account. It gives you that level of information. You can also see why, if you wanted to see why people are bouncing after one visit, create a segment on the fly. It's free. I mean, this is stuff in Omniture that you have to pay like thousands of dollars to get, the Discover tool and e-variables, and it takes forever to set up. What's great about this, it takes about 5 seconds to set up, and you can go back and look at historical data. And I believe with Omniture, you have to set it up and let it run, and then you can kind of look at that data instead of going back and repurposing it.
So now that Bob has web analytics set up on his website, he's happy Bob. Happy Bob knows that he's now tracking visitors and conversions on his site. He's targeting the companies that are coming into his site, so he can see from that referring sites report what companies are coming in and browsing his website. So he's not actually cold calling at this point. He's generating warm leads, and he's following up on those and getting business from them. He's also generated 3 paid opportunities from a blog post that sent people to his site. So now he knows that that blog is sending influential visitors to his site, so he may want to start a relationship with whoever owns that blog. And then he can see that he's converting visitors much better than his competition, which we were talking about, the benchmarking report. So these are all just high-level key learnings, but it really gives you a lot of insight into your business and your customers because, like we said earlier, ultimately you need to satisfy your customers first.
Yeah, and what's important to know is that this is really just the first step. Bob just can't stop here and say, oh, I have Google Analytics on my site now, I know what's going on. He needs to take that data and apply it to his search engine optimization, to his demand generation, and use that information to make his site better.
And so we've included some of the links and the resources that we talked about earlier. So when this goes up on SlideShare, you can go in if you were kind of curious about some of the other providers that we spoke about. And then also for the tools to verify your tracking. So, oh, it does have to be in Firefox. So we kind of sped through that, but if anybody has any questions, hopefully we have answers for you.
Yes, sir.
A couple questions. One on the benchmarking. Is that data only available if you opt into the program? So with the universe that you're benchmarking against, is only the other shops or companies or similar characteristics that have opted in to provide the data, correct?
Yeah, you have to opt in to get that data. I did find, in terms of benchmarking, because we get this question all the time, how's my site doing? Is it converting? Core Metrics, I think they have it still. They have a site out there that'll show you, email open rates, site conversions based on vertical, and it was all free at one point. So if you're looking for more detailed data than what it gives you on Google Analytics, try Core Metrics.
Well, I guess my question is, the data that's the benchmark, the baseline you're competing against, are they looking at all companies that did that, or just the ones that have opted into the program?
Just the ones that opted in. So you may end up with a small sample size. Yeah. Especially when you get down to those deep verticals like this. It